All right, well, welcome to Boots Come in Pairs, episode two. Um, just very overwhelming the amount of views we had and support from the first episode. So thank everybody for watching. But we're going to get into the origin of the name here, Boots Come in Pairs. We were playing Ryan's senior year, my junior year at Crystal Lake South. Had no real business winning that game, really being there. I don't think they took us serious. Shortstop boots a ball early in the game. Coach Bryant Talbot, sitting on the bench, screams at him, "Boots come in pairs." And then all of a sudden they booted another ball and just kind of unraveled. Um, but it just kind of spoke to the nature of Bryant Talbot and kind of what he got out of his players.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to kind of expand on what Brandon's talking about. So yeah, I mean, we went to Grant Community High School, which is in northern Illinois, in a county called Lake County. Like I said, Grant Community High School. So we're in the playoffs. We are opening round of the regional. We're playing a powerhouse team, Crystal Lake South, the Gators. They We throw our ace. They throw their number 2 or 3, who is still a stellar pitcher. But we really we came to play. This was our team at least. We had a lot of talent, but I feel like we didn't really play up to the potential. I believe we were 17-14 going into that game, playing this team that was a 25-win team. We ignited early in the game. We were hitting around their pitcher a little bit, and then, as Brandon alluded to, somebody, I don't know, remember who it was because it was so many years ago, but hits ball to shortstop boots it, and Brian Talbot, he was the freshman coach at the time, but varsity assistant, and he was coaching on the bench. Yells the infamous "Boots Come in Pairs" phrase, and we just took off running from there. Ended up beating them 10 running them in 5 innings, and yeah, just kind of moved the momentum. We ended up losing in the next round or the next game to the team that eventually took runner up in state, but it was, again, quite a game to be part of, quite an experience, and just crazy. But going into Coach Talbot, I mean, he's a guy who breathes baseball through and through, and he's really good at telling players like what they need to do in a way to where you feel like you can do anything. Like, that's the cool thing about him. And Brandon and I have both played for him in a number of different teams, played Legion ball with him. That's how we kind of first got our exposure to him, playing summer Legion baseball with him before he became a coach at Grant. And then from there, I mean, Brandon continued to play for him at the Legion level, and I ended up coaching with him for 7 years. So just can't say enough the kind of person that he is. Just his ability, like I said, to get the most out of his players, and as not only as athletes, but as young men as well. It was such a pleasure and a treat to get to talk baseball with him every day for 7 years. Like, it was just an unforgettable experience. All the guys at Grant, all the coaches at Grant that I got to coach with, and Brandon got to play for, and I got to play for, just great experience. But yeah, that's kind of getting into our name a little bit. And obviously it was one of the first things that we thought of. We were trying to think of a name for this podcast. Like, we're baseball guys. We love talking about baseball, playing baseball, watching baseball. And I mean, trying to come up with a name that's I don't even want to say original, because original is not a good word, but just authentic, and speaks to who we are. I mean, I don't think there could have been a better one. How about you, Brandon? What do you think?
I've never heard it anywhere else. There's several Talbotisms that you never hear anywhere else, but I still yell it on the softball field. Doesn't have the same buzz, but it still gets some laughs, and most of the time it does, put some pressure there. So you don't want
Yeah.
to be the next guy to make the error. So but yeah,
Yes.
just to the guy that he is, and the kind of character he has, and really to get the most out of his players. So I think that's what we appreciate the most. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. 100% agree.
yeah. So now let's get into our infamous Cubbies, right? We're gonna start a segment Ryan came up with last week, as in our post game wrap. Fit and future. So we'll dissect it a little more as we get into more of these players. But I think there's a lot of interesting pieces that are younger, and do they all work? Do they all fit? I don't know. Um, First guy we were thinking of was Nick Madrigal.
Mm.
You know, and he's good, but not great, right? He's a good
Yeah.
piece, but he just hasn't really played enough. And I don't
Hmm.
know if he plays more, if that'll make him better.
Yeah.
He's played very good at third base this year when they've needed to fill in.
Yeah.
His bat is good. He doesn't really walk a lot.
Hmm.
He's again, but often injured again this year. But he played, 92 games, which is the most ever. So it's hard to
Yeah.
know, what does he look like going forward? Is he your third baseman? Is he your second? Definitely not second base. That's already taken. What do you think of Nicky Two Strikes?
Yeah. So, like you were saying, like good, yes, great, not yet. Nick is a very, I don't even know how to say it. I feel like there's just, baseball is such an interesting thing in that, like, all these guys are the best. They're all the best from where they came from. And they all have the opportunity to play this game because of who they are and the work that they put in all this stuff. So Nick Madrigal, I mean, he's a California high school prep star, goes out to Corvallis and just puts on for Oregon State. Pac-12 freshman of the year. He's been all Pac-12 team a couple times. Golden Spikes finalist. Like, the guy could flat out hit the baseball. Like, doesn't strike out. Um, Contact is incredible. Like, enough to get him into the top 5 in baseball's first round. The White Sox taking that flyer on him. And I mean, really, you just look at him and his body of work in the minor leagues. I mean, the guy, I'll look to my stats here. I mean, it like over a 300 hitter in the minor leagues. I mean, with the White Sox in limited time, he was over a 300 hitter. But like you alluded to, Brandon, like, can't stay on the field, can't stay healthy, trying to figure out what kind of uh, defensive player he's going to be. As we found out in the pros, like, his game at second base was shaky, and that ultimately led to him being someone that they would be willing to part with. Granted, getting a closer like Craig Kimbrell for the White Sox is something they needed at the time, and when they thought they were contending, right? I mean, you would have
Well,
thought,
we'll wait for John Shenning's analysis of that. But
yeah, that'll be looking forward to that for
yeah,
sure. But
but his
yeah, I
arm,
mean,
I mean, his arm strength was an issue. But I think the issue with him is not as a player. It's if the Cubs are going to contend for a World Series, can you win with Nick Madrigal at third base when you're already solid up the middle? And I don't think that answer is yes. I think you have
yeah,
to upgrade that when you have teams with Arenado, Machado. I mean, those
yeah,
are the kind of third basemen you need to win. Austin
yeah,
Riley. I mean, you want a big power hitter, and Nick Madrigal is the complete opposite. He
yeah,
has 2 home runs this year. I think he has 4 home runs for his career. Like, he's not that guy. And unless
yeah,
he's getting on base at a 400 clip, it's just hard to see how he impacts the lineup um, in that way. Like I said, he doesn't walk. He's hitting 260 this year, which is fine. It's fine. That's fine. But
yeah.
if you're gonna be the kind of hitter he is, you got to hit a little more.
For sure. And it's like, I think you just look at a guy like Luis Ariz, who,
Mm,
I mean, he's not a power hitter, but the guy's hitting 340. So
right.
if what Madrigal's got to do in order to get in this lineup, at least every day, or at least I would say more of like an optimal lineup. Say you have a guy like the typical power hitting third baseman, like Austin Riley, like Nolan Arenado. I'll throw Matt Chapman into that list as well, Manny Machado, those guys.
Mm,
Like, if he's not hitting for power, he's got to be hitting 330 or 340, which is just freak numbers. And
yeah.
is he capable of that? I would say that he is. He is capable. Will he do it? I don't know. What I will say is that his defense at third has been just, I mean, some of the best in the game. Like, his outs above average, I think he's top 5 third baseman in all of baseball. Like, his defense and his arm, and he really worked hard in spring training and in the off season just to have a a seat at the table, I would say.
So
But
I would say to
is
make
he
this
a
team,
guy?
yeah, to
Yeah.
make this
Is
team
he
because
the guy?
he wasn't a lock. I wouldn't say
No,
to be on this roster. So he had to do
no.
that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so with him, it's interesting. I mean, he's signed at least as a restricted free agent for another couple years. He's under team control, so it'll be interesting to see like what his role will be. I very much anticipate, depending on how the Cubs finish up, which I whatever they do, I think they're going to end up at least 500, which again is
Hmm.
way beyond where we thought they would be. But I have to imagine that you get a taste of this and you can sign a couple players and you can very much be in contention and in this division. I mean, we really the Cubs were not really eliminated from winning the division until yesterday. I mean, that loss yesterday and the Brewers lost
Yeah,
yesterday, like there was still a chance to win the division, which again,
long
I've been
shot.
saying it for yeah, I've been saying it from the beginning of the year. I thought this division was wide open. I didn't think anybody was a standout above anyone else. And again, this just you get that taste. I'm assuming the Cubs will go out and sign a third baseman, but I think Madrigal, there's some way for him to contribute at a few different positions. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But to me, I've been impressed with him when he's been on the field for sure.
Yeah, we don't know what I don't know what free agency looks like right now, but that's a later podcast episode.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he may be the best option, which wouldn't it wouldn't excite me for their World Series hopes. But again, if they get one step closer, that's fine.
Yeah.
But then it's another guy to talk about is Christopher Morel. Um,
Mm.
he's he's hitting better this year than last year, even though he's slid down, but he doesn't have a position. And I
No.
don't think a guy his age is, I wouldn't say he's not interested in DHing, but to keep him engaged, I think you need to find a spot for him on the field. And I just don't
Yeah.
know if there is a spot. He has a good arm.
No.
He just isn't solid in the infield. I
No.
don't know if he's a natural outfielder. I haven't seen enough of him. I mean, you could put him in left. He's been in right. He's center. Last year they were kind of gimmicking, find a spot wherever they can fit him in. And I mean, he has 25 homers. That's impressive. But um, you got to find a spot for him, I think, in the lineup if you want to continue. Otherwise, I mean, I don't mind his energy off the bench, utility role if he embraces that. But I think
Mm-hmm.
if you solely rely on his bat, he's going through a really bad stretch right now, and it's just not a great time.
Yeah.
Again, what does that mean for the future? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Christopher kind of burst onto the scene like a freaking supernova. Like this guy just electric and what he can do gives you a lot of Javi Baez vibes with just the
Mm,
raw energy and talent and just like again, the dude's got a cannon for an arm. He can hit the ball a mile. With him though, I mean, he didn't have that hype that Baez had. Like
no.
he's an international free agent. I mean, he was in that 2015 class with Assad and with Amaya, who we'll talk about in a little bit here.
Mm,
But like that 2015 international free agent signing class for the Cubs was really good. It's produced some good major league talent that's on the roster now. But yeah, I mean, he's really and honestly, like looking at his numbers, like he really wasn't a home run hitter or standing out at all in the organization. Like this power surge has been very recent, probably just him a result of him finding himself. But yeah, I mean, I think him being young enough and just willing to do whatever he needs, whatever the organization needs him to do. He's got that different vibe to him. So maybe he just embraces that role of any way I can get on the field, any way I can help this team. I don't think he's going to be selfish and be like, well, no, I'm just the DH and I'm not going to be engaged or I'm not gonna interact with my teammates. I'm just going to lock in. Like
no.
it'll be interesting to see. He could probably spot start in some places, like we saw him in the outfield in Arizona. He was actually wasn't he the opening day third baseman? Wasn't he on the depth chart as the opening day third baseman? So I don't know. We'll
I don't think he
see.
made the roster because yeah, he was in AAA. But
Okay.
it's it's just interesting because I think I agree with you. Like that could be his role, but I think to maximize him, you got to lock him in somewhere. Otherwise, I think he's just going to be confused and kind of searching when it comes to
Yeah.
like his day to day position. And because then you're taking away from his offense because he's learning that defensive position, and then his defense is suspect sometimes. So it's just finding where you can. plug him in and just sit him there and like, hey, left field, right field, whatever it is, that's yours. Play
Yeah.
your way in or out of the lineup. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, unless he just has a breakthrough with contact and limiting the strikeouts. I mean, guys make adjustments all the time. Adopt that like David Ortiz or Edgar Martinez vibe where it's like, hey, I'm hitting today. That's all I'm doing. So
yeah.
I don't know. I just think,
It
yeah,
took those guys a long
he's
time to get there though. Like David
yeah,
was a late bloomer, and really he could play first, but like not really.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's just tough. Well,
Yeah,
hey
it's
man,
tough. We'll see. We'll see with Chris. I mean, I'm very, very pleased with how he's performed this year and last year. He's just been nothing but a bright spot for this
yeah,
team and has proven to be a performer when it matters the most. So I'm hoping that he gets another opportunity to show what he's capable of, at least in the next few games. I mean, he got some big games coming up against division winners and some of the best teams in baseball. So hopefully we get some more Chris magic in the next few games.
you need a little bit here because yeah. Oh well. Miguel Amaya, that'd be the third guy. I mean, I think his first one was his defense is like, can he be an everyday catcher? I still don't know if they're fully confident in that, but he just hasn't got enough looks. I feel like
No,
is he Steele's catcher? Like, I mean, that's, you know, it's just not enough at bat, 127 at bats. And then it's like, how do you judge his defense when you're playing 1 out of 5 days? It's just hard to
yeah,
get in a rhythm, especially catchers. Like they need the rest, but they also need the reps.
yeah, for sure. And from my just as a fan sitting back and viewing things, it sounds like guys really like throwing to him. Like he's a really good target. I think he's learning a lot from veterans like Jan Gomes. Jan Gomes is
Mm,
his impact on this team has been incredible. He's what 38 years old, nearing the end of
36,
his
yeah.
37, 38. I think he's in his late 30s,
Mm,
but his impact on this team, I mean, I don't think we really knew what to expect going into this. It's like, oh, they signed Jan Gomes. Like he was good a couple years ago. Like he was an all-star a couple years ago, but I think Amaya's really gotten a chance to learn from him as just a receiver and as just working with the pitching staff and all that. Probably even Barnhart too, when Barnhart was still on the roster.
mm,
Probably learned from him. So he had a couple good guys to learn from. But the biggest thing with him, like we talked about with Magical, is that he just hasn't been healthy. Like his entire minor league career, the guy has been in the futures game twice. Was once the top prospect in the Cubs organization. Was once a top 50 prospect. Like very, very promising. Good size. Has plus power, but he really just hasn't been healthy. So
yeah,
I think going into next year, hopefully he can be one of the top two catchers, and hopefully he gets a shot to really prove what he's capable of. He's still young enough. I think he's only 25.
mm,
Um, he was another guy, like I was saying before, in that 2015 international free agent class with or international signing class with Morel and with Javier Assad and those guys. So yeah, I hope he gets the shot. I hope he stays healthy because I really think that he can do some damage at this level.
yeah. And it's kind of the opposite of the 2016 team, right? Where they're building that, and these guys come up from the minors, and you know they're stars. You know they're ready. I mean, Bryant, we knew he was ready. Baez, I mean, he was hitting missiles onto Waveland.
Mhm.
And just like,
Yeah,
I mean, you knew what you were getting. And I feel like this is the opposite. We like have seen the pitching splash, but like the offensive and defensive side, you're kind of like, I don't know, So I
yeah,
think what that does is it opens up holes that they might need to fill if they're deciding next year's the year. Because I don't know if you're all of a sudden just going to have Miguel Amaya break out next year when he has 127 major league at bats. It just doesn't.
yeah.
It's not going to click. Like Wilson Contreras was ready to go, and you were kind of just he
Oh,
had a
for sure.
cannon of an arm, kind of developing his catching, but he could hit. That you knew
Yeah,
that was there, and you'd throw him in as a DH because you know that that's part of it. And it's kind of the opposite where it's just like we're kind of waiting and seeing. So either room for improvement or they're really going to give these guys a look because yeah, I love Jan Gomes and he's been great. He's not going to catch the majority of his season for you. He's just not in that prime of his career anymore. So
no, and him being healthy enough and having a good enough stretch at the plate. I mean, I think they said he's been over 100 games. I think between 100 and 115 games Gomes has played this year, which again, I didn't think that was going to happen. I didn't think he was going to produce like this. So, yeah, I mean, again, just hopeful for Amaya, and just hoping that he can be that next guy for them who's going to step up and be something from the minor league system. There are guys who are chopping at the bit to get up here, and some guys have been injured, like going a guy who I think has been really similar to Amaya in his career trajectory is Brennan Davis. He hasn't really gotten his cup of coffee
at the. I really heard his name recently.
He's been hurt too. He's been hurt too. I mean, he can't stay on the field, so that's part of the battle. Your thing with Mr. Trout? I mean, Mike's biggest thing, like this guy probably could have been the greatest player to ever play this game if he was able to play every day. I mean, even 3/4 of the time, like he just can't stay on the field. So that's one of the biggest thing is like stay healthy, stay on the field, do what you need to do. I mean, it just doesn't seem to be that way anymore.
Right. Well, and we'll preface that with I don't think Mike Trout is a bad player.
No,
I have a really hard time when people say he's the greatest to ever play.
He's the GOAT. Yeah. Is he the GOAT though? If he can't stay on the, if he can't, Michael Jordan was the GOAT because he was the best and he played every game. Right. Like that's what Michael was.
I mean, I think it's astounding. He had 40 homers last year, but only played 115 games or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But the guy that's bonkers. 12 playoff at bats, 12 playoff at bats in 3 games. Like it just doesn't scream greatest of all time to me. He might change in the back half of his career. Now with the Angels, they're kind of a hot mess. But like, that's what you mean with that kind of stuff. It's just like, hey, you got to stay on the field. You got to. I mean, yeah, you're right. Michael Jordan. I mean, didn't miss a game even when he was 38. He was still playing 82 games. So yeah, some people just don't have the longevity, and it's a shame. I think we are missing something there with that. But yeah, that's the precedent behind my Mike Trout.
Well, there's
I would
plenty
say it's distaste, but it's just
There's plenty of great players. There's plenty of other great guys who play. And again, nothing against Mike Trout. Love Mike. Have enjoyed watching him since he came up. He's incredible in every aspect. He's the definition of a 5-tool player. But yeah, man, we just want to watch you play. I've still never seen him play. I've seen the Angels play several times. I've never seen Mike Trout play. It's never been in the cards. Maybe one day I might go to Detroit this weekend just to watch Miggy play. Hopefully he'll play. It's the last stretch, man.
Oh, he'll play this weekend. He'll get some bats. He's still playing. He's still getting in there. He's not hurt. But
he's doing it, man.
For reference, so we have bought Angels tickets several times, and it's either been, I think one time was a rain out, and then when they made it up, he was hurt again. And I saw him a couple years ago on the south side. I think me and Isaiah went, but it's been very hard to keep him on the field, and it's just but oh well. Well, since last epi, Cubs have done a little bit of winning and a really hard loss last night. They took care of business versus Colorado. Got some tough games, but they did it. And then we leave ourselves last night where they're up 6. You never feel like 6 runs is enough to beat a team like that.
No.
But the drop. I mean, Seiya got them there, so you can't. I mean, his offense has been great. He's been second to Mookie Betts. He's been one of the best offensive players in the second half here. But that ball's got to get in your glove. I don't know how else to say. That hurt really bad. At least give yourself a chance to blow it in the 9th, right? That's all you want. We don't know who would have closed it out last night. Merriweather's been struggling. Who knows? But at least the chance. I mean, Acuna, they show the video of Acuna, and it's like he thought the ball was caught, and I was like, oh, hey, it's on the ground. Let's score 2, and there it goes. But I have a feeling again I listen to a lot of Nico Horner, Jed Hoyer was talking about it too, and it's just they're not panicking, but it hurts. It does hurt.
Yeah, it definitely hurts, and I mean, since the last episode, this was game 3 of the Pirates series, where was a tough one where they got down and they came back and they came up just short, and we were kind of concerned about the series coming up. We said that we need to take the series against Colorado and and kind of do the same thing against the Braves and the Brewers. And the Cubs really took care of business. I mean, starting pitching was incredible during the Colorado series. Again, this is a team that beat them on the road. They have guys on their team who are trying to make rosters next year, so they're not going to roll over for anybody. But you get really good performances from Tyone. You get a really good performance from Wicks. Marcus Stroman it was his introduction back into the starting rotation, and he did not pitch well. But Javier Assad came in and threw 4 shutout innings.
Yeah.
You had big hits from guys that you wouldn't normally get them from, like Patrick Wisdom hit a clutch bomb in Game 3. So that was big. And then last night, yeah, I mean, they're rolling up 6-0. Justin Steele's mowing them down, looks unhittable. And again, like doing this against the Braves, I mean, I just keep watching the guys come up in the lineup. I'm like, oh, he's really good. He's really good. He's really good. And it's like there's no break. You don't get a break when you face the Braves. Like not one spot in their lineup. Even Orlando Arcia, the guy was an all-star this year. And he's always had the Cubs number, even with the Brewers. But like,
Yeah.
it's like for him to do what he did against them through 5 innings is just unbelievable. It's like, all right, well, finally we got this. And then it's a little scuffle in the 6th, and runs start going back, and then the play in the 8th, which is heartbreaking. It's like, not that you want that to happen to anybody, but it's like, can it happen to anybody else? This guy has been so important. That Colorado series, I think he had something like 10 or 12 hits. Like he's been hitting tearing the cover off the ball. I think his OPS is over 1,000 in this last stretch. Like he's really come into his own as an offensive player, even as a defensive player. He's doing everything he needs to do, and I just don't know what happened last night. I hope that he's got thick enough skin to where he can just forget it and keep playing, because what he's done has really kept them in the conversation here.
Right. Well, that's a great thing about baseball is another game tonight. You can get right back to it, and you're not out of it because Miami lost the first one. They're tied in the second one, but you you don't really control your own destiny. But if Miami loses enough games, that can help. But I think this is why too making the postseason this year, regardless of how far they go, will be so important because you have so many guys that are not used to play. I think Hendricks is the only one left over. Jan Gomes has playoff experience, but we're not. I don't know if he's a future part of this team, but because he's not gonna be there long term. But like you need to get these guys some pressure, playoff moments, so they're ready for it when they are ready to contend. Because you don't just go no playoff experience, win the World Series. There's got to be a little bit of scar tissue there, a little bit of again tolerance to the pressure built up. And I think that's what you're seeing with Seiya sometimes. When he first came up, remember, or they brought him over, he made a base running mistake. He made a couple outfield mistakes. You're like, what's this guy doing? I think it was just that thing. It was just too much pressure. It's like I'm playing in the MLB now. I'm in the show. It's different than Japan. And now you're here and you're playing in a pennant race. Like I'm sure he's never done that in his life. He's never run over to a ball and just whiffed, whether it was the lights or whatever. But like you do weird things when the pressure's on. This is a big game for the Cubs. They know that, and that's why again, just get a series, get into that mode. Let's play 6 in a row in Milwaukee. Let's play 3 this weekend and then play the playoff series. They're cool, but at least get that vibe going. Get your young pitchers in those moments, and if they fail, it's fine. But at least you have that experience.
Yeah. Ultimately, we just want them to get there because, I mean, everyone says, and I think you kind of mentioned, I don't know if it was in the first episode or not, or maybe just in a conversation that we've had, but like the Cubs are an organization that you need to expect the most out of them. They're like the Yankees. They're like the Astros. They're like the Braves. They're winning organizations. They're just it's just important. They should be contending every year. People say that, oh, well, if you're one and done every year, well, here's the thing. At least you got there and at least you have the experience. Like every inning, every pitch is important when it comes to playoff baseball. Like it's just something that you're not going to be able to replicate in any regular season game. It's just completely different.
Right. Well, it's not like it was in the past where, you're making these fluky playoff runs and like you're just a treat to be there. We're not the Pirates. Like you should be
No.
there every year and it should be an expectation. And, it's not a surprise when you are there and that you have the people that are capable of taking you the distance if they get there. Like Boston. They had no business winning that 2018 World Series, but if you have a pedigree of winning it, and guys, I mean, They may have been cheating, but that's fine. We're not going to talk about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But they had a lot of guys on their roster that were used to winning, and they just
Hey,
happened
they
to,
learn
to
from
get
the
there and win.
best. They learn from the best.
Right. Right.
Alex.
Come here. Come here. This is what I've been dealing with this whole time. You know what? This is fine. This is just for the podcast. We have this. We have this the whole time, and she's driving me crazy. That's okay. Okay, go on your way. Thank you. Thank you for inserting yourself. Could you hear her barking?
Yeah.
Just like trying to get a point across, and you're not letting me. That's fine. Dogs increase
Hey,
points.
the authenticity, dude. Hey, we're not in a studio.
No,
You're in
real life.
Milwaukee and I'm in Michigan.
There you
I'm
go.
in
Real life.
Holland, Michigan.
And there's golden retrievers and cats, and they may pop up. But
Yes.
yeah, just I mean, again, pressure. Here's your next podcast name. Pressure makes the pipes burst. Well, that burst a little bit on Say It last night, and I think
Yeah.
it's again. I think it's fine. I think they'll rebound, and I think Miami will lose enough games that they'll be able to sneak in.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about uh again, the Cubs are playing two of the best teams in baseball, division winners. Looking at the teams who are behind them right now, aka the Reds and the Marlins, they're playing teams who don't give a crap about their record or who they are or what they're trying to do. Like these teams are trying to spoil. Like the Indians are going to spoil
Yep.
the Mets. I mean, the Mets have one of the highest payrolls in baseball. This season has been a colossal failure, but you got to believe that Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, Brandon Nimmo, they don't care about the Marlins playoffs. Like they want to they want to spoil it. They want to be salty. They should be salty.
I think you want to be playing the Braves right now. Of any time in the whole year, this is the time you want to play them because I don't even know who they started tonight. Like I've never heard of that guy before, but like they're
No.
not pitching bullpen games, but like they're like, all right, starters are only going to go this long. We want them to rest. We're not going to play our full lineup every night. Like, great, thank you. I know they can still hit, and they're still going to try and win with the guys that are out there, but I appreciate that. Yeah, don't play full strength against us. And same with the Brewers. They might. I don't know if we're going to catch Corbin or Woodruff. They might not. That'd be nice. Thank you. You know,
That'd be really nice.
yeah. Rest Kana. He's been hot. He needs a little break.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pitch Rowdy Tellez again.
Yelich Contreras. Rest them all.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's a good thing to be playing because the Cubs have been that spoiler team the last couple of years. They played good in the second half and they're just kind of winning games that they have no right to win. But they're like, oh, let's go out there and give it our best because, as we know, every at bat is important to somebody. They're all trying to earn a spot. They're all trying to do something productive, and because the Major League Baseball is important. So,
but, absolutely, yeah. We'll continue to scoreboard watch, and by the time our next episode rolls around, we're going to have some stuff to talk about, whether it's stuff that makes us happy or stuff that makes us sad. But regarding the Cubs, at least, I mean, to preface all this, like, this is not a Chicago Cubs and Chicago White Sox podcast, YouTube channel. Like, we are baseball fans first, and then we have our loyalty to our team. So we're going to continue to cover things that we find interesting, different topics in baseball, off-season stuff. We might get a little bit less regular once the season's done, probably once every other week. But yeah, looking forward to covering different topics in the playoffs. Hopefully our boys are there, and if they're not, I mean, there's plenty of other things to talk about. Just really looking forward to what we can do here. Different people that we can bring on and talk to, whether they're friends who are fans or coaches or people who we've played with who've made it to the next level. There's lots of different things that we can bring to the table here. I just appreciate everyone's support, listening, tuning in. We got a lot of things on the horizon, looking into launching a Spotify version of this too, so it's easier for people to listen to, maybe on their daily drive. We're looking into that, but yeah, in the meantime, guys, again, appreciate the support. Thank you for being here, for listening to us talk about things that we love.
Yeah, that'll be enough for Who's Coming Pairs episode 2. Thanks for listening.
Peace, guys.